Welcome into the Sideline Sports Show. Ben and Tim here with you on this lovely Thursday afternoon, a little bit because we're a little bit earlier today, Tim. But Tim, how you doing, my friend?
Ben, I'm doing great, man. As we always say, Friday Eve. It gets me something to look forward to. We're almost at the weekend.
Almost there.
I'm thrilled, man. I can't wait. It just
I know.
gets me some time where this is actually be my last week where I don't have anything to do in the afternoon for a long time. So
Yeah. Hey, I can tell you're a little bit more energized than a couple weeks ago. So you're like,
yeah, very
yeah.
true, very true.
I think it's almost that time where you're like football, and you're just
Oh,
like,
exactly.
yeah. So
And at this point, I don't mind the hot weather like some people, but I do like it cold. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'd much rather have sweatpants and much rather have hoodies, pullovers, and football. It's just that
yeah,
give me 55 degrees. Slight breeze, not much because it'll
yeah.
be too cold. Give me a slight breeze. I'm in heaven. Okay,
See,
I'm in
I
heaven.
I told somebody the other day, I said, somebody, I think on the weather up in Greenville mentioned that it was gonna get cooler this weekend, and then I looked at it, and it was like 89 is the high, and I'm like, "What kinda cool weather is this?" Like, that ain't even cool weather yet. So, I'm ready for that time
Maybe he
where
meant no humidity. Maybe.
maybe, but I'm ready for that time where it's good enough for some long sleeves, but you can still wear some shorts outside. That's when it's really time for football season because you can really just dress up or dress down however you want to for football season, and it's right around the corner. But before football season kind of kicks off, we can still got to preview some things, Tim.
Yeah.
Today we get to break down the SEC, and I think this is going to be a very controversial episode, Tim, because
It could
we
very
we
well
talked
be.
about it last week. And how controversial this whole entire conference could be from top to bottom. Let's start, I think, with the easiest side of the conference, and I would say the east side would be the easiest side, Tim. And I don't know if it's east and easy. I don't know if that's supposed to just be the SEC. I don't know. But let's start with the easier side, Tim. So let's start with SEC East, and we'll start from the bottom and make our way up. I think this is unanimous vote, Tim. I don't think we even have to discuss it. But let's go with number 7 in the East, and that is Vanderbilt. I don't. I mean,
Oh, I
let's
thought we
be
were doing
realistic.
South Carolina. Whoops.
Uh, he's like, "Uh-oh, spoiler alert."
I'm
But
kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, Vanderbilt's
Yeah.
schedule features road trips to Hawaii and Northern Illinois, who I hate to say this, beat Georgia Tech last year in Georgia Tech, along with home dates versus Wake Forest, and then crossover games versus Alabama and Ole Miss. So really and realistically, for Vanderbilt to have a good season, they just got to win 3 games, and I think they'll have a great season. So other than that, I mean, they're not. There's no way. And whoever the SEC media person was that voted them to at least win the East, I don't even see how they could potentially do that.
I will say
And
that their game against Wake Forest in week 3, I believe it would be. No, actually, technically, that'd be week 2 because they play in week 0. Get that? I still don't understand week 0. Just call it week 1. But anyway,
yeah,
the news about Sam Hartman. So that now becomes in my opinion, if he's not
50
playing, that's a 50-50 winnable game. So, but yeah,
yeah,
ultimately, they're definitely going to be at the bottom of this division, which is saying something because the SEC East has really not been the greatest in years past, especially last year with how bad Florida was. So, but yeah, I definitely have them at the bottom. And anytime you lose to a team that's in the same conference in the FCS as Furman, Wofford, although you lose to a team that didn't, I think, finish in the top half, but didn't even win the conference and their own conference in the FCS, you lose to them at home by like 20. I believe it was Chattanooga, either that or
yeah.
ETSU. I can't remember which one, but they lost to an FCS team in the SoCon by like 20 points at home.
Hey,
So
you know who they
just a
played a
year
close
ago.
game to against last year too?
Who?
Kansas.
I wanted to put that game out of my memory. I'll be honest.
Exactly. But I mean, it's like that Southern guy said, which I think that fits very well. Vandy's ceiling is like 4 games. I mean, to win
Yeah.
4 games. So, I mean, that's reasonable. So, Tim, give us your 7. I think it's
Yeah,
unanimous.
it's. I wish I could put South Carolina here just to troll some friends of mine, but realistically, I got to go with Vanderbilt here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, number 6, Tim. I'll let you go first. I think we have the same number 6, but I'm just gonna go ahead and let you go.
Absolutely. Just wanted to check list here. Let's see here. Yeah, it was crazy. some of the teams that finished the order last year. I mean, this could be some improved teams. This could be some teams that were finished at the bottom last year. Could be in the middle of the pack this year. Tennessee comes to that mind. So right now at number 6, I'm going to have to go with Missouri.
Okay.
Missouri could surprise some people. They can also, I think that their basement could be 6 in the SEC. So overall, just haven't loved what I've seen out of Missouri. I'd be interested to see some of the opponents they get at home, but I don't think ultimately it'll matter too much. So I got the Missouri Tigers at 6.
I'm going to agree with you, Tim, and put Missouri at my number 6. And it's like you mentioned. I think it was you said what was their ceiling that you think they can reach in the SEC East? What's their ceiling? You mentioned their floor
Base.
level. Yeah.
What's
what's their ceiling?
In
the SEC
it wouldn't be much higher. Maybe a finish over Kentucky, and I don't see Tennessee wetting the bed this year because they're going to very much improved. But right now I'd have to say their ceiling would be around the 5 range,
okay.
5 or 6. I don't think that they're going to be better than that, and I definitely don't think they're going to be worse than Vanderbilt because that'd be pretty much impossible. So.
Well, like I said, I agree. I got Missouri. Here's the problem that they have. They have a quarterback battle with 3 different guys right now. They don't even have a QB1 yet. It's going to be between the freshman Sam Horn, sophomore Brady Cook, and redshirt freshman Tyler Macon. So that quarterback battle is still ongoing. No one knows the quarterback that's in that room yet. And I think just defensively, they didn't play good last year. They allowed 36 points a game. It's just not going to be good. But they're going to be better than Vanderbilt. So I'm going to have to put them at 6. All right, my number 5. This is where it gets a little rough, Tim. All right. And some people can agree, some people can't, but I'm going to put Florida at my number 5. And
wow.
Here's the thing. Billy Napier, I'm not expecting him to fix everything going into this year. Granted, I think this team will get better. Is it going to be this year? Absolutely not. I mean, I really think that you look at this. The reason for optimism for Florida right now is their quarterback, Anthony Richardson. And he's the only reason for optimism. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot that Florida has. I mean, the defensive line is a huge concern because they literally could not stop the run, and they only got 20 sacks last year in conference play. So, I mean, there's not a lot defensively that you can look forward to. And offensively, they got to go through some growing pains, but their quarterback is probably going to lead them to have the most optimism. So I wouldn't be shocked if they finish 4th, but I can't put them higher than 4, and I'm going to have to stick with them at 5.
Fair enough. At number 5, I was toying with this because, I mean, there are 3 teams to kind of consider here, in my opinion. I think you could look at Florida. You could also look at Kentucky, and you could even put South Carolina potentially as a candidate for 5 here. I think South Carolina's going to be a little bit better, so I think 5 is a little too low or too high, however you want to look at it. So for me, it just kind of comes down to Florida or Kentucky, and for me, it's just like I think Florida's going to be very similar, but I still think, like you said, Billy Napier, first-year head coach from Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. I think he's going to have them improve slightly, and I think they're going to finish a little bit higher, and I think they're going to get a little bit better. So I'm going to have to go with Kentucky here. Again, Kentucky, that's right. I looked this up, and they're actually the ones that played Chattanooga. ETSU were the one that knocked off Vandy.
Yeah.
They played Kentucky like close. I think they only lost by like 6, or maybe it was a touchdown late that separated things. Not a great team.
Something like that.
But they've had South Carolina's number here recently. But the thing is, their quarterback still very much a big question marks as always in Stoops' offense. So it's just the thing is their running back, because their running back ever since Benny Snell left hasn't quite been the same. So if they can shore that up and get the ground game going, which is Mark Stoops' offensive identity, then they'll maybe surprise some people, pull off some upsets. But I don't see that happening. I don't really see anybody bursting on the scene. Quarterbacks, people are having a little more hype on him this year. But overall, I don't see them doing much overall in the SEC. And I think South Carolina overcomes that hump because they finally get a quarterback. They they're definitely starting to get better in terms of talent. And I think Florida's just going to be a bit better than them as well. Not by much, but a bit better. So at number 5, I got to go with Kentucky.
All right, this is where I'm going to begin to shuffle some things, Tim, and we're going to
Yes.
ruffle some feathers. All right, and I mean this figuratively, because I have number 4 at South Carolina, and get it, ruffle the feathers, Gamecocks. Yeah.
How cocky of you.
Oh man. Anyways, look, here's the thing. You bring in a lot of great transfers. Shane Beamer has obviously done a fantastic job in year 2. I mean, honestly, no one probably thought of this much improvement that quickly, but at the same time, I remember 2 years ago when we were sitting in a studio doing the Ben Tim Sports podcast, Tim,
Yeah, way
and
back.
you were
Yeah.
so high on Spencer Rattler. Since that moment, Tim, I have not seen Spencer Rattler play the same. I don't know if it's because you said something about him and then he just sucked and fell off the face of the planet, or if it's just I don't know. So hopefully South Carolina will help him. It will be a new environment, new change for him. The offense will probably be a little bit better than what it was last year because they actually have a quarterback one and they don't have to float around between 5, 6 different guys playing quarterback. So that's a good thing. I think defensively, this group returns a good amount of guys, but the crossover matchups between Texas A&M and at Arkansas are rough. And then you got
They are
your
rough.
annual showdown against Clemson. So, I mean, saying that, I wouldn't be shocked if this team went 7-6 again. But I mean, I don't think they're better than the 3 teams I have above them. So give me South Carolina at the 4th spot.
Okay. And number 4, I've got Florida because again, I don't really have them going much higher than they did last year. Now it could be interesting. You could flip flop them and where I have this next team because again, this next team I have after Florida bury the Gators at home. Now they're going to have to go to the Swamp this year, and I'll tell you who they are in just a little bit when we get there. But overall, I think Billy Napier again. Rome wasn't built in a day. Again, this team wasn't that far off. It was just the year before last that they were in a New Year's Six bowl, and they got destroyed. But that was because their quarterback or their best receiver option, Kyle Pitts, tied in, who's now with the Falcons. And I'm sure you know that very well, being a Falcons fan. He didn't play in the game, so there's just so many guys that they didn't have in that game. And ever since then, it kind of tapered off. Dan Mullen got fired. Just high expectations. I think they're going to be better than this year because I think they have to be. The expectations are at the Swamp, especially with the pass that they have. And again, they weren't that bad not too long ago. So it'll be interesting to see. But for right now, I have Florida finishing 4th in the East.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and do your number 3 because you said you could flip flop any of these teams. So give us your 3 as well.
I'm gonna. I said it. I alluded to it earlier. I got to go with South Carolina here. I don't want to put them too high, because I think I'm definitely buying them more than I did last year in the years past. Because last year, it's tough to tell with last year. I mean, yet they had definitely some big question marks on the defensive side of the ball at times, especially against A&M. That was a bloodbath last year, and again against Georgia as well. But their offense didn't help them in that game either. So it's just one of those things where you finally feel like you have a quarterback. And you talked about Spencer Rattler earlier. Spencer Rattler, again, at Oklahoma, man, I mean, there's all kind of pressure on you, and especially with everything that came with him, the hype. Everybody's like, oh, this guy's going to win the Heisman. He was like, I think he was the Heisman favorite last year coming into the season. Then halfway through, he gets benched. So like at Oklahoma, there's no time to be able to struggle. With South Carolina, I'm not saying that, you don't have time to struggle or you have time to struggle. But it's definitely not as big a pressure. If you get this team to 7, if you get them to 8 wins, I mean, that's a great season for them. And Shane Beamer, I love what he's doing. And I see some very similarities with Shane Beamer and Dabo at the early stage. I'm not talking about right now with Dabo. I'm talking about Dabo at the early stage. Young, hyper, very energetic coach. He's a player's coach. And again, with Spurrier, it was very easy not to like South Carolina. But with Shane Beamer, I got to be honest with you, I like the guy. Again, I hope we beat the brains in every year just after Thanksgiving. I really do. But it's hard to root against the guy. It really is. You're reminded quickly by South Carolina fans. Just saying. But overall, it's just South Carolina. I think they're definitely going to take steps in the right direction. The recruiting classes. Well, they're being more consistent, and again, overall, just Shane Beamer, and I think he's going to turn that program around in a short time. And This quarterback, Spencer Rattler, I think he's the start. I think he needed a brand new start. And this here in Columbia, I think that is going to be beautiful for him. So I think they're going to get better over time. I just think this next year they're going to be finished third, only behind my next two teams.
I will say that the true identity of what South Carolina is going to do in the future comes in week 3 when they host Georgia in Williams-Brice Stadium. I think that will show the identity and direction of what South Carolina football wants to be from here on out. Week 3, they're hosting Georgia. They got to pack that out. I mean, they're even going to Costco trying to get people to come to that game. So,
yeah,
look, I mean, you've got to get people into that game, and don't let it be a red fest over there in Columbia, South Carolina, where you let Georgia come in there. Because as a Tech fan, I mean, that is very relevant in the past couple of years for Georgia to basically invade Atlanta, Georgia, and make it their second home. So, week 3 is going to be an identity test for South Carolina. But
you got to look at the game week before that as well. I mean, they go to Arkansas. And both those games that we mentioned, Arkansas and Georgia, are at noon kickoffs, back-to-back weeks. Again, it's going to be interesting to see because I'm looking forward to their first game. Again, a game against Georgia State that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then again, if you ask Tennessee, that they may disagree, but with Georgia State. But overall, it'd be interesting to see because that first game with Rattler, it's a home game, 7:30 at night. You'd be interested to see how comfortable is Rattler in this new offense, this offensive scheme with Shane Beamer down there in Columbia. So, which I wouldn't say Georgia State's a walk in the park. It should be, but again, it'd be interesting to see that. I want to see that game just because I want to see how their new offense looks. Are they going to be able to have the offense that's going to be able to put points up? Because last year, again, I know they had some injuries early on and then had to get a coach that ended up, he had to play and suit up at quarterback at times. And it was just like you didn't have really any identity at quarterback. You now have that, or at least you think you do. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like, and he's going to get tested early.
Yeah. All right, my number 3 is Kentucky. Now, here's the thing. Kentucky's been close to the top of the SEC East for about 5-6 years. About 4 years. 4 years. Let's just say 4. Florida has been up there too, but they've had the downfall. And here's the thing. I think they have favorable crossover matchups between Mississippi State. They host them, by the way, and then they play at Ole Miss, which I think that'll be tough. A tough trip to Knoxville may be the deciding factor on if they get the 2 spot in the East. I mean, really and realistically, I think that's what that will be. The offense took a huge step forward with their offensive coordinator last year, but now he's gone. He's in the NFL. He's coaching for the Rams. So I'm going to be interested to see what Mark Stoops decides to do with this offense with Rich Garlo, I think is how you say his last name. They pulled him away from the NFL to call plays on the offensive side, but defensively, they allowed 21 points a game last year. Honestly, not that bad. I think the defense is going to be the strength of this whole entire team. In Kentucky, if they win in Knoxville, they easily can have that 2 spot. But that brings me to my top 2, Tim, and that brings us to our top 2. Am I willing to do this, Tim? I'm not sure, because here's the thing. Tennessee goes to Georgia. If Georgia's going to mess up, it's got to be a high-quality opponent. I just don't see Tennessee winning every single game in the SEC. And so, unfortunately, I'm still going to have to put Georgia 1, Tennessee 2. I love Tennessee and the identity that they're trying to become offensively. In 2020, they only had 21 points a game averaging. Last year, they had almost 40. And Hendon Hooker's an incredible quarterback. Offensively, they're going to be incredible. Defensively, they allowed like 200 yards rushing a game on defense. That's got to improve majorly. And then for Georgia, the reason why I haven't them at number 1 is even though, yes, they did lose a lot of defensive talent, offensively, they did not lose much. Kendall Milton and let me see, Kenny McIntosh will lead that running back room, which has been dominant for years, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Stetson Bennett, looking for another big year from him. So I'm going to have to put Georgia 1, Tennessee 2.
Interesting. So I'm looking over, Ben, you remember my prediction last year. I had Georgia. I was very much a big fan.
You were, yeah.
Of Georgia. I said they were going to win the national title. I called it. I called it way back in August of last year. This time last year. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey, wait, before you make your pick, Tim, here's a fantastic stat just to let you know. Since 2006, Tennessee has lost 62 losses versus ranked teams.
Yeah.
Think about it, Tim. Think about it. All right. And then we got some Brock Bowers love too. So I mean, but go ahead. Just hurt the hearts of millions, Tim. Just go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
And I look at Tennessee passing numbers weren't so great last year. They were 40th in the country, 257 yards passing a game, but they did average 39 points for themselves. That defense, needs a little work. If they can improve upon their 52nd, 27.5 points per game last year, I think they're going to be really, really good. And with that said, as Lee Corso says, on that Tennessee 62 losses, not so fast, my friend. I think Tennessee is going to. I think they're going to have something. I just think this is going to be one of those years for them. Okay, I'm telling you, man. And again, they're playing at Georgia, so I'm really going to go out on a limb here. I know you're going to get. You're timming me, but I'm just saying. I like Tennessee. I'm starting to believe some of the hype on them. Okay, I really do. I think their offense is going to be even better than what it was last year. Okay, they get Kentucky at home. If their two toughest games of the year, they're going to make or break their season. Georgia on November 5th, and then South Carolina 2 weeks later on November 19th, and the second and last game of the year. So that's going to make or break their season because early on, Ball State at Pitt, which could be sneaky, could be good. I mean, obviously they lost Kenny Pickett, but could be sneaky. Then they have Akron, Florida. At LSU, which we'll talk about LSU later. They do have Alabama, which it's like, they're going to probably have to run the gauntlet after that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I'm just going out on blind faith here. And Georgia, I had a good feeling about last year. This year, I mean, they lose some key piece on defense. They have some key guys returning, don't get me wrong. But I think Tennessee somehow, some way pulls it out, and I think they win the East.
Holy moly. Look, I'm going to go back 2 years ago, Tim, when you literally said on that day, and I think it was an October crisp fall day, where you said Tennessee was going to beat Georgia, and then how wrong you were. I think that one's coming back for you, buddy. I think that one's coming back for you.
Hey, why not, right? So, I mean, people buying into Tennessee hype, it's just like, yeah, why not?
Hey, I mean, look, my brother-in-law will be so happy. He's a big old Vols fan. I mean, look, there you go. Bold, Mr. Tim. Bold.
I know it is.
That's a bold take.
Of course.
But that's the thing.
Now, it may be the same type of bold that MLB Network had when they said Shohei Ohtani was going to the Braves.
True.
It may be dead wrong. But guess what? We're not going to find that out until November. So.
And what's crazier, Tim? We still have one other half, and I'm telling you, you thought that was bold. You got to wait to hear my West and how that's going to settle out. But in order to do that, you don't have to go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this short break. Welcome back in Sideline Sports Show, episode number 42. Before we get started on the West, make sure to check out our friends at Section 103, section103.com. You use your 10% off code Sideline at checkout. Make sure to check them out, Sideline or section103.com. All right, Tim, here we go.
But before I go there, Ben, now I've got thinking during the break, I'm seeing all of this. I go out on a limb for Tennessee. Now, what you bet? What you bet? First game against Ball State, they lay an egg. Well, wouldn't that be something? Just think of that, and at least
flashback to Georgia State.
That's the elaborate troll there, but yeah, we shall see. I'm hoping they don't fall flat or have me fall flat on my face there. So, but hey, my bold predictions turned out pretty good last year. Georgia won the Natty, and Iowa came that close to winning the Big Ten title. Except for when they got to the Big Ten title, they got blown out. But hey,
choked. Yeah, it's okay.
At least they got
all
there.
Right. Yes, that's
all right,
right.
Cody. We see your Roll Tide. We get it.
We do. We do. We see it. We do see it indeed. So, all right, here's where this is going to get very interesting, Tim, because if you don't remember last year, Tim, we went back. And I think I don't even know if we had Alabama in the SEC title game. I don't even remember. But I'm going to pull it up for us after I break down the first team that we got. We can obviously start from the bottom with this because and maybe you will not like this pick, and maybe a lot of other people. But I know one person on the stream will indeed love this pick. And my number 7 in the West is Auburn. There's too much drama. There's too much chaos going down there in Auburn, Alabama, for them to even put together a winning season. TJ Finley the other day, just reporting news here. It ain't me just saying things. He was arrested. I mean, look, here's the thing. They're not going to have an identity. They lost so many people in the transfer portal. There's so much drama within the program. I just don't see him pulling it together. I really think Harson's out at the end of the year. I really do. And it could be even before the year's done. And, I mean, with the schedule that they have, it's not very favorable. So, unfortunately. And, yes, they did play Alabama close. But, I mean, here's the statement. This is all I need to say right here. Auburn has more issues than a comic book store. I mean, let's be realistic. So, I mean, you're not wrong. So, I'm going to have to put Auburn there. And Tim, go ahead, give your 7. I'm going to look up who we had in the SEC title game last year.
Yeah, for sure. And number 7, I'm going to have to agree with you, Ben. And it's simply this: years in which Auburn has to play Alabama on the road, with the exception of the year they won the national title with Cam Newton, they almost always stink. Ever since, definitely under Gus Malzahn and now Harsin, they just. I'm not buying them. I don't think they're going to be great against Alabama this year. And it just seems to be that pattern when they play Alabama on the road. Again, with the exception of 2010 when they won their national title, but that was 12 years ago now. So I don't buy them, and I think that a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, like they're in shambles right now. They have a lot of issues going on. Somehow, some way, they found their way to 500 last year. I don't really know how they did that or around there. My memory's foggy on the record last year, but overall, man, I'm with you. Auburn's got too many issues going on, and I don't, especially in this West this year, man. When you got Arkansas, I mean, it's going to be good. LSU got Brian Kelly. I mean, Mississippi State, Mike Leach. Who the heck knows? So, and Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, and with Jimbo. I mean, this whole division is just locked and loaded. And overall, it's just, to me, it just comes down to Auburn has too many issues. And they honestly, out of these 7 teams in the West, they've got the worst coach, too. Nothing against him. That just says the coaches in the West right now are stacked.
Yeah. All right. We actually did pick Georgia and Alabama to win, but we both picked Georgia to win the SEC title. So I think that's why a lot of people were upset. But anyway, all right. Here we go. This is where it kind of gets a little crazy for me. I'm going to put LSU at 6. And
okay.
A lot of people are going to think that's low, but here's the thing.
Me included.
Yeah, they lose a lot, and I understand Brian Kelly's come in and he's going to be like the next great LSU head coach. I mean, you've already seen he's changed his Southern accent.
He's got the accent down. He's got the
accent down. I mean, he's doing TikToks now with recruits. I mean, I guess that brings in a lot of recruits, right? No, only 6 starters returned from last year. 6. I mean, you're having to rebuild a lot to this team, and I just don't see how it fits in right away. I just don't. And there's another great fact. Brian Kelly's 1-6 against top 5 teams. I mean, and then there's another hot take right there. Brian Kelly won't last 4 years at LSU.
That's a hot take for sure. Wow.
I think he will last 4 years if he has the success, and I don't think it comes in year 1. And I really believe all these other teams in front of them are a lot better. So give me LSU at my number 6.
At number 6 for me, I've got Mississippi State. Mike Leach, very fond of the guy, love him to death, and he plays an interesting form of offense, let's say, the air raid, which is basically don't run the ball whatsoever, no matter what the circumstance is. So it makes it very entertaining. And then there's teams that if they can't stop the pass, they're kind of up the creek without a paddle almost, figuratively speaking. So, but ultimately that, again, if you figure out how to stop that, you kind of just, you play with 2 safeties, maybe rush 3 or 4, and you just kind of play protection. You can get minimal rushes, especially if your front's good enough to get pressure on the QB with 3 or 4 guys on the D line. Yeah, Mississippi State's going to have problems with that air raid because of their refusal to run the football. Now, could they sneak up on some teams and throw for 600 yards a game or 2 like they did last year against LSU? Possibly, could happen, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
that often at least.
And it's even funnier that Cody mentions this. Kelly's 0-2 in the college football playoff. Like he'll even make it this year. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean,
weren't both losses to Bama or am I?
Bama was in 12.
Oh, Clemson. I'm thinking of Clemson. Duh, I should have known that.
Clemson, yeah. Clemson was the other one. Yeah.
I should have known that.
Wow. You forgot it. Wow. Embarrassing.
Yeah,
anyway,
well.
I'm just kidding. All right. My number 5, I'm going to go Mississippi State. And I think this team really could have a high ceiling of like 3, but I'm going to have to put them right here at 5. And they return the most starters, I think, in college football was 17. They have 17 guys from last year coming back. And it even starts with their quarterback, Will Rogers. I mean, dude was phenomenal. I think this is his senior year this year. Air raid offense. I mean, if you're down, I think this is the best offense to ever have. Like, because you already know it's going to be successful in Mike Leach. Defensively, I think that's going to be the key question mark because they allowed 27 points a game averaged. And that's got to improve, especially with a tough SEC West slate with all these other teams that are very, very high and talented. So, will they play close games? Absolutely. But will they win those close games? I don't think so. So, give me Mississippi State at 5.
Sorry, get back to my list here. My computer refreshed. Give me 2 seconds.
No, you're good.
All right, number 5. This was tough because I feel like those first 2 for me, we're like, okay, given what's in front of me, what I know about these 2 teams, okay, 6 and 7, boom, right there. But I'd say about 3 through 5, you can kind of put in any order. But overall, I think you hit it relatively well with LSU. Again, I'm going to put them at 5 here just because I don't know. Again, Brian Kelly never won. He strictly moved to the SEC West. And he literally said it, to beat Nick Saban. I'm sure Cody's got some thoughts on that. But and I can't wait for him. But he wanted to beat Nick Saban. He hasn't beat him yet. So I don't know what he's trying to do. Again, hey, you realize you're not inheriting the 2019 LSU Tigers, right? That team's not coming through that door. So again, he's definitely going to give a boost to recruiting. But overall, just on the field, man, he hasn't proven it yet. I don't know if he thinks maybe if he could just get that SEC money, that'll maybe help him in the recruiting trail more. I mean, right now, I don't know. I'm not a big believer in LSU, at least this year. I'll be more interested to see them in year 2, but I don't think they're going to really make a big jump this year. And just with so much talent that's in the SEC West right now, coaches, players, I mean, just every which way in the West, I'm going to have to put LSU down there 5.
Okay. All right. I think really the rest of these teams are honestly teams that could go and fight for a number 1 spot. The rest of them. That may be a hot take.
Be careful. You might take off Cody with it.
I'm just saying these are all the rest of these teams are all teams that I think could be number 1 in this Western side. And I'll start with number 4, Arkansas. I think KJ Jefferson is getting a lot more hype than I think he deserves. I mean, he was very injury prone last year, but he's only got 4 starters like returning on offense, and it's all on the offensive line. Offensive line, that's fantastic. I mean, at least you got some stability on the offensive line, but the rest of like this offense is just questionable. Like running backs are questionable. Wide receivers are questionable. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it really no one knows. And then defensively, they almost allowed 30 points a game. That's got to change and improve. And I think that the three teams I have in front of them are just better defensively. So that's why I got to put Arkansas there at my number 4.
Yeah, for me at number 4, I got to go Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin has done a good job.
Tim.
I think he's done a great job, but they're not going to have their quarterback back. Matt Corral got drafted by the Panthers. He's not coming back, man. And I understand Lane Kiffin, offensive wizard. I'm sure he'll figure something out. But right now, I have more faith in the other 3 teams in my list right now than what I've got in Ole Miss. I'm sorry, until I see something in which, again, I think their defense may take a step back last year. I mean, again, at times their defense last year was much better than what it was the year before in the COVID year. The COVID year, the defense was, I'll just call it what it is. It was trash. It was awful. They were scoring 50 points, but they were also giving up around 50 points as well, it felt like.
That Arkansas game was what I remember the most.
It was like 52 to 51 or something like that. It's insane. Highly entertaining, but definitely not sustainable if you're going to build a winner and it's going to win any type of division, let alone the SEC West. So, but they made strides. They got some transfers. This year, will they be even better? I don't know, man. I mean, again, I believe they lost one of their offensive minds, if not their offensive coordinator, to Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. So, definitely, I not buying Ole Miss as much this year. Maybe can pull off an upset on the road. Maybe if they get one of these teams at home, could pull off an upset. I don't know which one. I'm not going to specifically say, because I don't know. But again, new quarterback, man. That's just with me. When you break in a new quarterback, your quarterback in today's game is everything. I mean, he handles the ball literally every snap. Okay, unless you run some sort of wildcat. Okay. And again, breaking in a new quarterback, I know he came in, and there was a quarterback that came in when Matt Corral got injured last year against Baylor. I believe it was a Sugar Bowl. But he didn't look great. And if he's their quarterback, maybe with a whole offseason of work and stuff, he's going to look better, look more comfortable in the offense. But right now, I'm just not buying the Rebels.
Okay. And I love what some of these we'll get to Arkansas in a minute for you, obviously. Sam Pittman, I mean, I agree with that. He's a fine coach. He'll build it into a very respectable program. I agree with that one. And the Southern guy said if the Bulldogs and Rebels, Sharks, Bears, whatever you call them, because that is true. I mean, they have like 60 different mascots. Whatever they are, they put half their Egg Bowl energy into other games. They can become one of those warrior teams. And I mean, I agree. I mean, if they play the way they do during the Egg Bowl, you're right. You're right. Bring that same energy. And
that's the difference between the elite programs and the teams that can pull off an upset here or there and end up finishing 7 or 8 wins.
Exactly. True. All right. So that will bring me to my 3. And this is where I'm really like, okay, these are the 3 teams. I would not be shocked if they finish number 1 at the end of the year. And yes, Cody, I know that makes you mad, but it's okay. I will go my number 3 with Ole Miss. And I feel like I have a lot more optimism than you do, Tim, with this team, because here's the thing. They bring in Jackson Dart, who I think underperformed at USC. I really do. I think he underperformed, but in Lane Kiffin's offense, I think he will fit perfectly. Then I think this is like the sleeper of like transfer picks out of the transfer portal. Zach Evans from TCU, the running back. I think he can be a huge piece to this offense. And then they got a bunch of wide receivers as well and tight ends as well. Defensively, they filled the holes, all with transfer talent. I mean, they went and got Power 5 transfer talent from every school you can imagine. I mean, USC, TCU, Louisville, USF, USC again, Western Kentucky. I know that's not a Power 5. Tennessee, they went and got a guy from Alabama. So, I mean, they got a lot of guys that are Power 5 guys to fill the holes and gaps that they needed. And so I think, is it going to happen year 1? No. But I would not be shocked if it did. So I'm not saying I'm going to put them at 1, but I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up at number 1. So give me Ole Miss. And here's the thing. I mean, they have a pretty decent schedule. I think they host Alabama this year. if I'm correct, I could be wrong, but I think they host Alabama this year, and I think that could be a tricky game for the Crimson Tide. But I'm not gonna get to that part yet. I'm gonna leave Ole Miss at my 3.
Yeah, at number 3, I really had this team. I was really going to put them higher. I was like, I think that they're going to be talented enough to possibly even win the SEC West, and I really was going to do it. Then I took a look at their schedule, and
Yeah, that's why I put them lower, Tim.
The middle portion of their schedule at Mississippi State, which again, Mississippi State, I have them at 6, but still on the road in the SEC. I mean, you never know. You just never know. Then you go to Alabama, then you go to South Carolina, which I'm not saying it's going to be a hard game. They should win that game, but again, that's a new South Carolina. We talked about them earlier in the show. Very much improved in my opinion, especially at the QB position, which is the biggest one for any football team. So that 3-game stretch where they're on the road for 3 straight weeks, 4 technically because there's a bye week in there. But overall, I mean, that really kind of made me really second guess myself. And it's just like, you know what? I don't feel like they're going to win this thing. I don't feel like they're going to be great. Now, that game against Arkansas at home is going to be or big one. Excuse me, that's the one they played, Jarrettsville. Excuse me. That game that they play at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, I believe they're still doing that. That'll be huge. Arkansas played that game really close. I can't remember off the top of my head who won last year's game, but the year
I want to say it was A&M.
Yeah, I believe so. But I don't know. That middle portion of the schedule scares me. The 3 games, in October. Again, they only play 1 home game in the month of October, and it's at the very end of the month on the 29th against Ole Miss. So that right there is enough to say, you know what? I'm going to kind of pump the brakes on A&M. Again, Jimbo Fisher hasn't shown me really, truly anything at Texas A&M, despite their recruiting classes, which some might say that they're paying for. I'm not going to go there. But overall, that middle portion of the schedule, I guarantee you they're definitely probably going to lose at least once. If they go to Alabama and do like what Johnny Manziel did, this team could be up there with national title hopes. But overall, I think that 3-game stretch, I know it's Alabama mixed in between, right there in the middle of 2 games, which you should win on the road. But again, you never know. I just think they drop 1, maybe even 2 in that stretch.
So you got
I think they'll be at number 3.
So you got A&M at 3.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just making sure I got all my ducks in order. All right, here we go. Number 1 and number 2, Tim. I'm gonna say this. Look, call me crazy. Call me crazy. I'm not gonna say this right here. Bama will lose 4 games. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Ole Miss is gonna win the West because I've already said they're my 3. But this team was in a rebuilding year last year, Tim. And I don't know. Are they still going to be in a rebuilding mode? Is my question.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Heisman quarterback in the national title. Defense was still, pretty strong. Rebuilding year. Get that crap out of here. Goodness gracious. But again, I saw Paul Feinbaum finally called him out on it. It was
I know.
Paul, thank you for not just riding Nick Saban's coattails for the first time in forever. You should thank me. I almost thought about singing that. So, but I did. But for the first time forever, man, it's just, So if I'm not calling him out on it, just making excuses, it feels like. And he's right. That Nick Saban has a pattern of this. And Cody, you must acknowledge he has a pattern. Every time he loses, there's a reason why he lost. There's a reason why. There's an excuse why. Hey, they were just better than us. Say that. Georgia was better than you in that game. Just like you were better than them in that game in the SEC
title
game.
Thing,
Georgia was better in the national title game. Just take it. You can't win every year. Someone else has got to win once in a while, say Nikki. Goodness gracious. Yeah. So, but sorry. I got off on a little tangent there.
No, you're good. Like I said, this team was in a rebuilding year last year, but are they going to be in a rebuilding year again this year? And does A&M have enough to take down the Roll Tide? I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'm going to say A&M at 2 and Alabama at 1. And here's the thing. you can say you have all the recruiting classes and all the number one recruiting classes he won. Unless it shows on the field. I mean, it's like Kirby Smart a couple of years ago. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, we got great classes. I don't understand why we're not winning." Well, I mean, look at your progress. I mean, you got the number one recruiting classes. Now you just need to make it work, make it happen. And they eventually did. Jimbo Fisher, I think, honestly, is a great coach and honestly could knock off Alabama, but I don't see it this year. And even if they do, or let's say they do lose, there's still a shot for them to make it into one of those Final Four spots if they go undefeated. So Texas A&M, they got a really good shot to even make the college football playoff, maybe have some revenge on Alabama. But I don't know. So I'm gonna go Texas A&M. But the only reason I really have Alabama, I think the struggle for Alabama this year will be their offensive line. But Jahmyr Gibbs in that backfield is going to be something else for Alabama that they did not have in years past because he is going to be explosive. And even allowing Tyler Harrell from Louisville to come in as the lead receiver for this group and Jermaine Burton, I don't think Jermaine Burton will make as much of an impact as the guy from Louisville, but I think they'll be able to make some offensive progressions than what they had last year. So give me Alabama 1, Texas A&M 2. So Tim, you said something. You want us to go to break.
Hold on. I mean, like, well, I was gonna throw it to you in a second.
Okay.
I'm trying to put some suspense here.
Go ahead.
You know, you talk about the Thunder, Ben. Goodness gracious. Anyway, I'm just messing.
No, you're good.
But there's a lot of things to consider. Arkansas with Sam Pittman. I love them. Last year they definitely showed signs of improvement. Definitely a team that they got some hype. Again, they had their chance. They were top 10. Had that game against Georgia to kind of send a message or at least try to be competitive. Didn't happen. They got blown out 38-0, I believe was the final score. Just not a good showing. I believe they had 2 punts blocked in their own end zone. Just everything that could have went wrong that day. Let's look at Arkansas' schedule. Again, they get Alabama at home, so that could be something. It's South Carolina at home. The road games are Mississippi State, Auburn, and Missouri. That's their road, and A&M, but technically that's game that they always play in Jerry's World. So their road games, really truly in the SEC, don't seem to be that difficult. Again, Mississippi State and Auburn, 2 teams that I'm going to have in my bottom 2, and then at Missouri, who's one of the bottom teams in the SEC East. Man, I'm seeing things are kind of lining up for Arkansas as well. Again, Alabama. Nick said we talked about it. Said that somehow they were in a rebuilding year last year. It's like, okay, Nicky, you won the SEC. You went 14-1, got in the national title game. Won for the pick 6. You were right in the game till the very end. So Bryce Young, your Heisman quarterback, coming back. I don't know how last year was a rebuilding year. I think your rebuilding year, a lot of teams would be a magical season. Just ask LSU. I mean, they had some season similar to that. I don't think they would call that a rebuilding year. So it's interesting that Nick Saban referred to it as that. So there's a lot of things here, Ben. There's a lot of things to consider between these 2 teams, Arkansas. And can you imagine if I picked Arkansas to beat Alabama? I mean, and then I have an Arkansas and Tennessee. Arkansas, Tennessee SEC championship game. Yeah. With that said, Ben, the team that I got to go with to win the SEC West, I'll tell you right after.
Oh, Tim. I guess our producer just accidentally clicked the button. So, Tim,
I think someone was ready to go. Yeah. I was going to say right after this break, but he jumped the gun on me. So I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, perfect suspense. Oh, man. So who do I want to win the SEC?
Oh, I thought I gave you time to make up your mind, Tim.
I know. I'm building drama. I'm letting it fester. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that said, do I dare go Arkansas and Tennessee in the SEC title game?
No, you would not.
You're right. I'm not that stupid. Give me Alabama.
I mean,
Give me Alabama. Give me Bama versus Tennessee in the SEC title game. And yeah, I think Alabama's going to be too good,
All right, Tim. Let's go ahead and do this because this is probably going to be one of the craziest title games for you. For me, I feel like it's pretty common. I got Georgia, Alabama. You got Tennessee, Alabama. They already play each other once during the regular season. And somehow, some way, Tim, you got them playing again in the SEC title game. So, Tim, I'm you've built up the suspense. So go ahead, give us your SEC title game winner.
Yeah, a lot of
and
people
eventually,
I feel like are just sleeping on Tennessee, man. I'm telling you, I feel like if they can overcome, they're the new Clemson. They find games Clemson used to do a decade ago. It's not, you can't call it Clemson anymore, almost, but that's the only way I can really refer to it. Games in which you lose, that you lose. Clemson doesn't do that anymore. It really, truly, don't tell me about last year. That doesn't count as Clemsoning. They've just been kind of doing it to themselves. Well, games in which they lose in the early going, that they just kind of put them behind the 8 ball and let it affect them, and then they just don't really get out of the gate strong. If they can get out of the gate strong, I really do think Tennessee is going to have a solid year. And I think they have a legit shot to compete with Georgia. I really do. I think they have a shot. So, and then a game against Alabama, man. Yeah, Bama, they just reload every single year. The Crimson Tide. I mean, it's really nothing more you need to break down. They returned their Heisman-winning quarterback, Bryce Young, who's overwhelmingly the favorite to win the Heisman again, which I completely understand. There's some guys that you could definitely consider, but right now you have to put your money on Bryce Young, even though it'd be stupid because you lose money because I think you have to win you have to bet like $100 just to win like $1 or something like that. The odds are something crazy, but overall, man, I think it'd be kind of stupid to go against Bama. With that said, I do stupid pretty well. So,
no, Tim.
All I'm just gonna say is, dare I say it? I made Cody mad at me last year. Why not do it again? So I'm gonna volunteer my pick, and I'm gonna have Tennessee winning the SEC. Chew on that.
Oh my God. Oh no. Here, I don't know how to. You know what, Tim?
Oh, come on, man. Tell me why I'm wrong.
No, Tim. No, here's a reason why to chew on it. You ready?
All right.
You ready? This is going to blow up the internet, Tim. I mean, literally, like somebody on ESPN is going to talk about us tomorrow. There's only one way to chew on it, Tim. There's only one way. There's only one way to chew on it. You ready?
I'm having fun reading the comments on the side.
I know.
This is entertaining.
I know. But you know what? The only way to chew on it, Tim. There's only one way. You know how that is?
How's that? I figure.
You let a dog chew on it, and I got Georgia winning the SEC title game. Back to back.
Oh boy.
They didn't look. They did not win the SEC title game last year. Okay? I think they really want to cross that off their bucket list finally. And I think Kirby Smart can get it done. I think he can reload on defense. I think this team's actually going to be better than what a lot of people think. So the only way to chew on that, Tim, is letting the dogs chew. So give me Georgia. Now, granted, I'm not counting Alabama out, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm counting them out. Next week, we'll dive more into that as our college football playoff predictions. We give our last 2 out and then give our 4 in to the college football playoff. And
I'm getting a lot of hate, guys. I'm just saying. I want to point something out to you. Do you guys realize how good Tennessee's offense really was last year? I mean, these guys averaged almost 40 points a game. If they can improve on defense, man, they're going to be solid. Their quarterback's solid. I'm really believing the hype, man. I'm telling you. I come on.
There you go.
Oh wait. So I was beloved last year. I was beloved last year when I picked Georgia, but this year not so much.
Yeah. Look, and and then you got Cody calling us clowns, Tim. But here's the thing: I'm not counting Alabama out. I'm not. And then look, I don't know what Coon
Counts.
Cowens.
Or
Okay, sorry, excuse
maybe,
me.
maybe he just got hyper and he typed an extra O, tried to
Yeah,
call us a cow.
it's
I don't
okay.
know.
It's okay. True. But look, here's the thing. I'm not saying that I'm counting Alabama out. I'm not. I'm not. So I'm leaving it at that. Okay. Because I can't. I want to dive so much into the college football playoff now because there's so much.
And
People.
about that, Hunter, I promise that will not be my championship game. I promise. Okay,
Oh my
Hunter,
gosh.
that will not be my championship game. I can assure you that, because Georgia Tech ain't that. I promise.
Look, I
Sorry,
love
there.
Georgia Tech, but no, they're not. If they did this year, I would literally faint. I will literally would, and I don't know if I come back to life after that one. So, but I mean, look, it's a big take, but I got Georgia winning it. You got Tennessee. I'm not, like I said, I'm not counting Alabama out, but there we go.
I'm
All
good
right.
for one bold take a year, Ben. Last year, I mean, I wouldn't call Georgia winning the national title that bold. I mean, it was out there, but I
It
wouldn't
was
say
a little bold.
it was a little bold, but they were still a top 10 team. Tennessee, is that fringe top 25 team. I think they take a massive jump this year. I really do. I think that they're going to be much better. Again, just on the defensive side of the ball, I have a few question marks. If they can improve there, watch out. That's all I got to say.
All right, Tim. That is all the conferences. And it's just gonna. We're just gonna
put that comment up there from Cody.
I got you. I
want to
Go
ask him a
ahead,
question.
read it.
We are going to chomp this year. I didn't realize you became a Florida fan, Cody. I didn't realize.
Hey, I mean, Florida almost beat them last year, so I guess there's that relevance that you got to kind of keep.
And
I
Florida, that same Florida team that was like barely bowl eligible at the end of the year. Dang.
And they fired their head coach.
Yeah, and they fired.
Don't forget that one. Don't forget that one. All right. Well, that is the end of the conference predictions. And it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. All right.
But, please share that one from Southern Guy. I want Cody to see this.
That was fantastic.
The tide has rolled out to sea.
Yes,
I mean, correct. You just got to accept it, Cody. Got to accept it, man.
All right. Well, before we get blasted anymore, make sure to go check out all of our social media pages: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Sideline Sports Show, and on Twitter, Sideline SP Show. Make sure to go check all of those social media platforms out. We'll be sharing our predictions, even though you just listen to them on the show, and then you can tell people to go blast our social media posts for Tennessee or Georgia winning the SEC title. So, I mean, you do whatever you want, but I mean, at least
I can tell Cody's a little bit bitter. I can tell Cody's a little bitter. Look, hey Cody, if we're wrong, my guy. Relax. Yeah, I mean, we still have him in the SEC title game.
Look, you know what it'll do, Tim? You know what it'll do? It'll clip that part out of the show and post it 6 months later of you saying, you remember when you said roll tide roll and then you clipped it and then posted it like 6 months later.
That's fantastic. Right. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I remember that.
So, I mean, look, he'll clip something of us midway through the season. So,
look, he's probably going to do it right now. He's probably saying forget our YouTube stuff now. He's not going to help us anymore.
Yeah.
With that.
Who knows? So, look, anyways, next week, college football playoff breakdown. We're going to announce the first 2 teams out, the first 4 teams in, and then we will give our preseason national champion. And yes, that means we will crown our national champion next week, next Thursday, right here on the Sideline Sports Show. But before we do, Tim, are there any teams that we did not talk about? So, like, for instance, like Notre Dame, do you think they have a chance? Are they a sleeper team?
Absolutely. I think Marcus
BYU maybe
an opportunity. BYU, I'm not really. I mean, I don't think. I think Cincinnati is someone that's definitely going to fall back enough, not much, but I think they're going to fall back a little bit. Well, do they still have a shot? Absolutely. Now, again, I have to look at their schedule. Last year, they had that win at Notre Dame going for them, which was a major plus for them, but. I'm not sure they have that game on their schedule because I just don't know if teams are really wanting to have anything to do with Cincinnati right now.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, there could be a sleeper team we bring into this conversation next week, and that would be very, very interesting. So make sure
Tennessee.
next Thursday. Hey, maybe
Oh
Tim.
man.
We may be getting to that.
Hey,
So
hey, hey, Cody, think about it. Think about it. There's been years where Alabama didn't even make it to the SEC title game and still won the Natty. So
yeah,
I'm just saying we could still have them in there and winning it all. I'm just saying.
yeah. All
Very
right.
possible.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's
Oh,
episode of the
a
side.
little bit of breaking news. Actually, just got this. Max Fried for the Braves is on the concussion IL. So Braves will be without Max Fried. That means he's going to miss his next start. Most
Another big injury for the Braves. But Vaughn Grissom, bravo, young man. Bravo. I mean, I
love how you did that.
Kudos.
Bravo with the bravos. That was pretty
exactly.
Good.
Bingo.
That's pretty good.
So,
That's pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. Didn't even try. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Sideline Sports Show. Make sure to check us out next Thursday, 6:15. We'll be back to our normal time next week as we will be breaking down the college football playoff and giving our preseason national championship. Until then, have a great week. Enjoy some high school football scrimmage games this weekend. And then next week, high school football is back as well. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great week, and we'll see you right back here on the Sideline Sports Show next week.